Bismillah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In this occasion, we would like to present our own work in regard with the English Language Education Management Handout 3.2, which undertakes the bringing innovation with effective English Language Education Project Management. Next, please. And for this particular assignment, it consists of two tasks. The first one is the task one. So in task one, there's a little bit of instructions where we have to read these sources and answer the following questions. So we would like to move to the first questions. So the first questions is, with reference to Carla's article in Hayward's chapter 2, how do you define innovation and change in English language teaching classroom? The answer is, what we can conclude about innovation and change from these two sources is that innovation is an attempt to improve educational outcomes by doing something that implementers see as new or different. Without bringing in material in preparation, innovation creates a variety of new foundation with new features and possibilities. And when it comes to innovation, we must remember that old ideas are no longer applicable, but the new principles are. The term change and innovation are often used similarly. And although there's a distinction, change refers to the adoption of an innovation. By that means, the difference can be told by how innovation is developed. After an innovation has been established, it can be changed several times for further optimizations or enhancement. So basically, innovation is more like the introduction, and change is more like the way of how people trying to change that pattern for several times. And we would like to move to the second questions. Next, please. The second question is, why and how change takes place? So the answer is, based on the sources, the litany of educational reform failures suggests that a better understanding and application of the principles and practice of educational change management would make a significant contribution to the discipline. And this also helps the innovations, especially in regard with these schools, which can help schools stay current with the new advancements or research findings, and they can also be a force for educational equity and fairer chances for people from all walks of life. So I think from the first section, a better understanding, it is more like the the cause of it, and the rest of them, it's like how that cause really created this kind of outcome. And the last outcome is the changes could also be implemented to strengthen accountability systems or to gain a political benefit in the short term. So it is not always concerned with the educational, but it could also affect the policymakers. We're moving on to the third questions. The third questions, it is a Collis refers to Rogers 2003 about the 5 often cited factors that influence end users' responses. And what are they? So there are actually 5. The first one is relative advantage, which entails with the degree to which a concept or product is viewed as superior to the existing standard. And the second one, there's a compatibility, which undertakes how well people can apply previous knowledge to comprehend how a new product works. The third one is complexity, refers to how simple it is for individuals to grasp a new concept. Next one is trialability, which involves with the ease with which the target audience can interact with the new concepts. And lastly, observability, which includes the visible outcomes of trying or consuming the concept. And the next questions will be answered by IG.
Okay,
IG,
thank you
time
very
is
much,
yours.
Fauzan. Yes. So for question number 4, so the main barriers facing innovation based on Carles can be broadly grouped into 3 categories. Is lack of change, not congruent with existing teacher values and beliefs, negative attitudes, and often en- engendered by the additional workload entailed. Teachers are often emotionally bound up in existing practices, and change can be personally threatening. And the second is system related. Poor communication and lack of mutual trust between change agents and frontline implementers, putting too much emphasis on the intricacies of the innovation itself and not enough on consideration of how it could be implemented. Lack of appropriate resources to support the innovation, insufficient professional development and support for teachers, failure to bridge the gap between rhetoric and reality, and cynicism engendered by previous failed attempts at innovation and failure to align a pedagogic innovation with the requirements of high stakes examinations. And then the third barrier is school related, which is related to lack of supportive culture for change, conservative forces within a school, lack of support or understanding from senior management, and inadequate school-based resources, student difficulties in adapting to teacher change, particularly if the rationale hasn't been persuasively articulated. And now we move on to the fifth question, which is related to what is Carlos' intention in referring to Marquis' 1997 distinction between primary and secondary innovations. So Carlos wants to show readers that there are 2 types of innovations, contextual and cross-cultural. And those are primary innovations and secondary innovations. Both of the innovations can support the success in implementing changes in language teaching and learning innovations. And the secondary innovations have to be successful to be promoted in order to have a successful implementation of the innovation. And then we move on to the sixth question, which is about what does Carlos think would be would be a great challenge in implementing language education innovation in EFL context. So in implementing language education innovation in the EFL context, there are some great challenges stated by Carlos. The first is learner-centered, the second is communicative or process-oriented approaches, and the last one is clash with different, though equally valid and philosophies. Those are specific discipline. Particular issues in language education are contextual and cross-cultural considerations. And for example, reforms in language education often involves innovations from the Anglophone world to developing countries in which English is a foreign language. And also sometimes pedagogic values like learner-centered clash with different philosophies which may put greater emphasis on whole class direct instruction, examination preparation, though equally valid. And Carol's saying is that innovations need to be designed in ways which are receptive to and respectful of both local classroom realities and wider national cultures. And for the next questions will be presented by Alvin.
Yeah, thank you very much, Aji. The next question is that what conditions are recommended by Careless to ensure successful implementation of an innovation? So, uh, in a few of multiple challenges facing the implementation of innovation, it is worth considering under what circumstances they are prospected for success. The following condition act as facilitating factors. Uh, the first one is the innovation is not overly ambitious and has support from sufficient relevant secondary innovation. Second is that the appropriate timeframes and seeks to facilitate early small-scale success, which generates momentum and positive sentiments. The third is the teachers are brought on board at an early stage and feel belongings and ownership that is of more than a token nature. These teachers may act as brokers, champions, or opinion leaders. Fourth is effective institutional-based professional development and support are built into the project. The fifth is that innovation is contextually and culturally appropriate and does not promote values which are incongruent with those of implementers. The sixth is that the problem-solving strategies are built into the project and there are change management strategies to tackle challenge arising. Next one is how does Hayward describe relationship between innovation and project? Now, first we must know what does um, first we must know what Hayward described itself as project. Project Hayward described project as an undertaking designed to examine present practice, to propose change, and to test the implementation of change. With this, we can see the connection between now. Hayward described the connection between the projects and innovation is that projects are designed to promote and change and innovate. This they will provide opportunities to test possible innovation in a protected environment without taking the decision to change established practice until it can be shown that the new ideas work. Next, we have the question is that what is his recommendation for the first step in the project planning? The first step that that Hayward's recommended is pre-planning with some with and here are some checklists that to help the project pre-planning. The first one is the title of the project. Second, it is what are the aims of the project. The third is what will be the outcome of the projects. The fourth is what negative effects that the project will raise. Which the negative is that the negative it is the negative for the pro it is the negative on the staff who will excluded, dissatisfaction with other present state of affairs, lack of focus on day-to-day matters. So it is mean that the negative the negative of the project that will afflict to those who in this project. Then we also have who will be involved. It is to know what to make the roles of the project teams member clear from the beginning. Then we have who are the stakeholders. Stakeholders in here means that the all people who are affected by the project learners, other member or of staff, parents, etc. Then we have deadlines, and then we also have how much will it cost. Then we have who will assess the project and using what criteria. Because doing a project involves being accountable to institution, a group, etc. define the assessment criteria at the outset and taking account of the defined aims. Next point will be presented by Alvin.
Thank you, Albert. Okay, we are going to talk about task 2. In this task, we are required to choose one of the educational innovations that implemented in Indonesia recently. We get two options, whether it is the implementation of simplified RPP or prototype curriculum that is known as Curriculum Merdeka in 2022. Okay, next. Okay, so this is the policy from Indonesian Ministry of Education, Culture, Research, and Technology. So we choose a prototype curriculum based on those innovations related to Curriculum Merdeka. We try to analyze potential problems of the initial education innovation in Indonesia. Okay, next slide. The first aspect we would like to highlight is related to the teacher. From the point of the teacher's view, teachers could find hard times in formulating teaching materials for students with different level of language, in this term, English proficiency. Then teachers will spend extra time to adapt with latest teaching technology and explore suitable teaching materials. Since we know that in this curriculum, the latest one, we notice that there is no certain KI dan KD or indicators in each level of school. But the curriculum chunks the English material based on the phase A until phase F. And it all breaks down into 12 grades of school from elementary to high school student. The second aspect is related to the teaching materials. In Curriculum 2022 atau Curriculum Merdeka, there is no certain standards of teaching materials. Teachers are given a freedom to develop their own teaching materials. Then teaching materials could be different from each English teacher, even at the same time school, based on the principles. Also, teacher could possibly develop an ineffective materials if they don't have sufficient knowledge and skills related to the teaching material itself. The third aspect is assessment of English aspects. There is no certain standards or rubrics of English assessment because teachers are given a freedom to develop their own teaching materials, the assessment as well. Then for the English summative test, it cannot be generalized in each school on the same region, city or province level. We noticed that previous curriculum, such as Curriculum 2013, Curriculum 2006, and Curriculum 2004, for the English summative test, like in UTS atau ujian tengah semester, and UAS atau ujian akhir semester, the questions are formulated and given by MGMP, Musyawarah Guru Mata Pelajaran, in the level of city and province. Okay, next slide. I think that's all from my explanation. I invite Fauzan to take over.
Yes, thank you very much for the elaboration, Alvin, and to all fellow folks. And I think that's pretty much wrap up our own presentation, and we are truly appreciate for the attention. And I think that's all for us. That's all for us. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.